saw good offense from Bayley. Bayley was getting it in. Her and Giulia was very, very dominant in this match. It seemed like they had very good chemistry. So these two worked very well. I like the magic that these two brought together. Very, very good between these two. But we saw Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez also getting some offense as well when they was doing high flying and stuff like that. But at the end, Giulia and Bayley will go on and win the match. And it seemed like Roxanne Perez and Cora was not happy about that. They was just overpowered. And that was it of that match. So that was good. Now we're gonna go on to here. We'll talk more about this match that are set for next week as well. But let's go on to the next segment of the show. Now, next segment here is the Grayson Waller Effect. Now, you know that he had a guest, and it was Oba Femi, NXT champion. And with that going on, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory like to rib on people, and Oba Femi was cooking. He was saying, in 2 years, I've done more in my career than you both combined. He said, Grayson Waller, Austin, you never won an NXT championship. You never done any stuff I've done. He said, you may have been on SmackDown. Now, the only thing they could talk about is how they kept saying they was at WrestleMania and they won a tag team championship with ladder match. But Oba Femi, he's definitely got it on the mic. Definitely a future star, future WrestleMania main event, as stated before that I mentioned on here. But with that going on, Trick Williams, he saw that they split the screen to him and Ava. Oba saying that he would defend title against Austin Theory, Grayson Waller, whoever it is, because Oba was not going for none of that nonsense. Now, what Ava did was she made a match at Vengeance Day against Oba Femi, Grayson Waller, Austin Theory. Trick came out. He stared Oba in the face. He attacked both Grayson and Austin before Oba dropped him with a fall for grace, powerbomb. But that was right before Trick had his match, which was against Wes Lee. This was they're going boiling for a while. So yes, this was going on right after that. Trick is not 100%. He's still putting the work that he could. He gave I guess you say bookend or rock bottom. But at the end of the day, Trick was just upset. The frustration not being a title match. He lost it, and the match ended in disqualification. Wes Lee will win due to disqualification. And then this is when he went off on Ava backstage. He wanted to be a part of that match. And she said, if you want to prove it, next week it will be Oba Femi and Trick teaming up against Austin Theory, Grayson Waller. But that was a very good story, how they shifted from the Grayson Waller straight to the match. I love that match sequence. Let's go on to the next part of the show. We had a championship match. Fallon Henley versus Shotzi for the Women's North American Championship. Shotzi, she put in the work that she could. She's a great worker. I like Shotzi, great worker. Always putting the work. But Fallon Henley is smart. She's a good heel. She focused on the injured knee of Shotzi. And as soon as Fallon Henley focused on that knee, Shotzi could not make a comeback as she thought she would. She tried, but Fallon Henley got the upper hand. She kept doing. She did submission at one point. But at the end of the day, she hit her with a famouser and retained her title. And of course, it was a face-off between Stephanie Walker and Fallon Henley. The match will be announced for Vengeance Day. Fallon Henley defends the Women's North American Championship against Stephanie Walker. So that was the end of that match. And yes, Fallon Henley is still the Women's North American Champion. Now let's move on to the next match of the show. We got All Ego Ethan Page going one-on-one with Cedric Alexander. Now, you know that Ethan Page attacked Cedric Alexander's hand a month ago. They showed that with the toolbox. So, Cedric got his hand all taped up, doing everything he could. Now, he was looking good. Cedric had the energy. He looked good. He has some good offense on Ethan Page, but Ethan Page, similar to Fallon Henley, and went after that injured body part. And he went after the injured hand. He gained a little advantage there. And then he took the ring post off of the turnbuckle. He slammed his hand into the ring post, and he just had full control from there. But it was still a good match. Alexander sold it very well, and Ethan Page got the advantage, and that would allow him to get the win over Cedric Alexander. So Ethan Page for the win. Javon Evans came down to the ring afterwards. He tried to come down. He looked at after Cedric Alexander, but Cedric Alexander, he's looking good on NXT. He had a good drop kick. He had some good parts. Other than that, though, let's move on to the main event of the show. Main event everybody was talking about. NXT Women's main event. And this is for the Women's Tag Team Championship. Bianca Belair and Naomi defending against Metaphor, Jakara Jackson, and Legend. This was a superb and amazing match. Very good match. I like the power, the face-off between Bianca and Lash. They had a good power against each other. They was keeping up with each other very, very well. And Naomi and Jakara had a good back and forth as well. Both teams did very good. They're very similar. I definitely see future women's tag team champions for Lash and Jakara. They got a bright future as far as those tag team go. But we saw that it definitely was good. I like how Bianca and Lash are good powerhouses, and Naomi and Jakara Jackson are good high flyers and taking big risks. But at the end of the day, experience, they say, is the best teacher. And Bianca and Naomi exactly have the advantage of having the experience. Lash was outmatched by Bianca. Now, Jakara and Lash, they finish her, but in the nick of time, Bianca had broke up the pin because they almost had Bianca and Naomi at one point. But like I said, Bianca and Naomi got the experience. They took out Lash Legend, and they finished her a double KOD on Jakara Jackson, and that's how they was able to get the win and retain the women's tag team championships.
Naomi, champions in control, dropping Jakara. Come on, Bianca into the cover to retain.
So with that, they are still your women's tag team champions. This is a very good match. I like how this panned out. So let's go over the show and what's my final review. We had 2 title matches: women's tag team title match, women's North American match, tag team match, Ethan versus Cedric, Wes Lee versus Trick. I will say for NXT, my review for this show will be a 4 out of 5. Very good show. I like how this show went. Played out very, very well, I might add. I really can't say anything bad about this show. It was very good. Very, very good. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen next on the show. But this was very good how this played out. But other than that, I had no other of course a couple hiccups here and there. Well, than that, this was solid though. I can't really complain too much. And of course, you guys can vote on the community tab. Now, with that going on, let's move on to what went wrong with NXT. Now, despite the great rating, I'm going to have my feelings of what went wrong with the show, what could have been better, what could have not been better. But we're going to move on, and let's go into the first thing with that. First thing I noticed, and I noticed this for weeks actually, I know she had a grueling schedule. She had a good rivalry. No Lola Vice. We haven't seen her in almost a month. Now, I know she was last seen with her feud with Jada Parker, and I know she was seen shortly after when she had a match against Kalani Jordan right after that. But we still haven't seen her. I mean, how are they going to set this up with Lola Vice? What's going to happen next? I don't know, but I would like to her to be back on television. This would really help her character. She had a real good build going on, so I don't know what's going on with that, but hopefully we see on TV soon, or at least after Vengeance Day. That's 2 weeks away. At least somewhere, not unless you be on the card, they're trying to build her back. But she had a good momentum going. But I don't know.
What's gonna happen? No. Words? No. You just made the list.
So no little advice that I had a problem with that. Another thing I saw in NXT I did not like. Um, let's talk about this. Ridge Holland. It's like there's no more direction with his character, and I say that because he was being built. He was the guy that tore down Chase U. He had an NXT title match against Trick Williams, then champion, and then he also just had a North American championship against Tony D'Angelo. But since then, that's been it for him. There's been no direction with this man. They have really done nothing with him. So I don't know what's going on with that, but this is not a good look. I think ever since he came back to NXT, he hasn't really done nothing anymore. Nothing is sticking for him. He started off good and he went down, so I don't know what else they could do with Rich Holland at this point, but it's just not a good look for the man. So not a good look at all.
What's gonna happen? No. Words? No. You just made the list.
So I didn't like that at all. Another thing I don't like, and I spoke on this before, I actually spoke on this last week. Oba Femi has no legit opponents for Vengeance Day. I said that he was going to run into this problem. I've been talking about it, that Oba Femi, despite being champion and a dominant champion, his overpower was going to work against him. Some would work against him. And we see that now because seriously, who is legit enough to beat him? And we're going to talk more about it. I'm talking about his upcoming Vengeance Day title match. It's triple threat against him, Austin Theory, and Grayson Waller. Now, if you follow Grayson Waller, Austin Theory, they're not a part of NXT. I said it was going to get people from the main roster, which they did. But these two, neither one of these guys have any chance of being Oba Femi. If it is, they're going to have to do a handicap match 201 to defeat him. But we're going to talk more about it. But this is not good for Oba Femi as he begins his championship run as NXT champion.
What's gonna happen? No. Words? No. You just made the list.
Yeah, this was not good. Not good. But that's all I have for what went wrong with NXT. Now we're going to go on to went right with NXT because there's a lot of things that did go right. So I like that, but let's talk about that. Couple things I'm gonna go over of what went right with the show, what worked out, what didn't work out. But we're gonna get into that. But yeah, that's just something I want to notate. I knew something was up with that whole picture when it came down to it at the end of the day. But yeah, that's definitely an issue they're gonna have to fix at some point in time. Hopefully they fix it sooner than later. And it's rather be good thing than a bad thing. So I don't want to talk too much more about it. We got to predict early predictions to mention more of that. But what I do want to do, one thing I want to definitely notate, one thing that went right, the women's tag team title match on NXT. And I say this because the women's tag team title match, we know that when they first introduced these titles, it's supposed to be defended across 3 brands. And since it has, we normally see it defended on Raw or SmackDown. This is the first time we've really seen it on NXT, or at least the first time in a while. So this is a good thing that they was able to showcase that. And then, of course, Bianca and Naomi will be on there. That's another bonus, but I like this a lot. Yeet. So this was a good thing to do that. Let's go over another thing that went right with NXT. Another thing that went right with NXT, we've been seeing a lot of Bayley on NXT. A lot of Bayley. And I mean that because, which is good, she's doing double duty on two brands. Now, this is her third week in a row being on NXT. She first came out to confront Roxanne Perez. Next week, her and Giulia had a brawl against, they had a fight out against Cora, Jade, and Roxanne Perez. This week, tag team match. And then upcoming Vengeance Day, she is going to be on the NXT PLE in a triple threat for the women's NXT championship. So this is solid. So Bayley's definitely putting that work. I guess it's a thing of, you have the vet each year. I notice they always grab one or two veteran women from the main roster, and they come and make their rounds, and they do a handful of matches on NXT, and they definitely work with the younger talent. We saw it with Natalia and Michin in the past. Now Bayley's the one this year, but still a good look. Bayley, I mean, she had her title run last year. She won Royal Rumble. There's nothing else for her to do, but this is good to keep her busy. So this is very, very, very good. Yeet. So I like that as well. So those are good things that happened with that. Can't wait to see what's going to be next for Bayley as she does, shut it down. She's going to put in a great performance. We know she ain't going to win these matches, but she gonna do her thing. So I'm not taking nothing away from Bayley. And that's all for what we're right with NXT. Let's move on to current news. Current news is announcement: Clash in Paris will be August 31st, Sunday, from Paris La Défense area in France. Last year, I guess they always do an international event around August. Last year was Bash in Berlin. Now we're going to get Clash in Paris. So can't wait to see how it's going to work out. I wonder what John Cena going to do. He got limited dates. I think he'll be there, but still looks good. So I can't wait to see what else is going to go on from there. So definitely a good one. You guys let me know what you think of Clash in Paris, France. Before we get to bonus round, let's talk about one more thing. We're going to also discuss as well. Let's talk about next week's matches on NXT. These are the matches as follows. We have an NXT Vengeance Day Summit, and it will be Roxanne, Giulia, and Bayley to showcase their match. Ridge Holland versus Stacks 1-on-1. Carmen Petrovic versus Kalani Jordan. They had a little interaction backstage. Kalani's like she's about to turn heel. I didn't mention that, but they do have a match. Carmen told Kalani, thank you for defending me. And Kalani said, I'm not there for you, I'm there for myself. And, Kalani mentioned her relationship with Shanti Adonis. That was mentioned. And then, of course, we got the tag team match, not title, but tag team match that Ava mentioned, a Trick and Oba versus Grayson Waller, Austin Theory. So, well, let's go on. Let's move on to the bonus round. Let's talk about the early predictions for Vengeance Day. So let's do that. All right, we're here at the bonus round. Let's talk about it. I know everything is not a full finalized match card, but we can at least talk about the early predictions on for NXT Vengeance Day, February 15th, Washington, D.C. Now, no particular order. Let's talk about the matches. First off, it's only a few, but let's talk about it. All right, we are going to talk about Fallon Henley defends her championship against Stephanie Walker. Remember, they had that face-to-face interaction. Stephanie Walker wants her title opportunity. Shotzi got the opportunity. She was wrong. She had to face her for number one contendership. We know Fallon Henley cost her the number one contender to face on NXT this week, but she does get a match at Vengeance Day. So the thing about it is, who's going to win between Fallon Henley and Stephanie Walker? Stephanie Walker, she is a great, great talent. She does her thing. I like her in-ring moveset. She got the good Japan strong style set similar to Giulia. Of course, she wrestled in Mexico, I believe, as well, CMLL, and other promotions. But Fallon Henley, she always has the upper hand, something up her sleeve. She got fatal influence on her side. So unfortunately for Stephanie, I see Fallon Henley retaining. She's going to cheat. She's going to have JC Jane and Jasmine Nix cost to the match. Stephanie has nobody on her side unless that's where Lola Vice may come back. But I don't see anything else other than that. I got Stephanie Walker not winning. She will win a North American Championship at some point, but it will not be at this particular time. So I have her for that. Unfortunately for her. So hopefully she'll win the title, just not right now. Now let's go over to the other two matches. Next match we're gonna talk about is what y'all talked about earlier. This is the NXT Championship. Oba Femi versus Grayson Waller versus Austin Theory in a triple threat. As stated, we know that Ava told Oba that that's going to be his title match at Vengeance Day. Oba didn't like. He tried to make his own matches. Ava had to check him, like, "Hey, I make the matches." And Oba tried to walk away. She said she's not done. Very good authoritative role for Ava. But other than that, though, in this match, I mean, I spoke on this earlier and in the past. We already know where this is going. Let's not play games. Oba Femi's retaining. He's not going to lose title against either one of these men. It would take a miracle if both these men to work together very, very hard to defeat Oba for him to lose his title. But I don't see him losing. And last but not least, let's get on to one more match. We got the triple threat for the NXT Women's Championship. Giulia versus Bayley versus Roxanne Perez. Bayley, former NXT Women's Champion. Roxanne Perez, also former NXT Women's Champion. Bayley, we know, is on the main roster. She's making her rounds, to work with the NXT talent. She's the female veteran of the year to do that. Roxanne Perez, already a two-time NXT Women's title. Giulia's on a run. This will make her look good to defeat both of these women. Very well accomplished. Giulia's retained this belt. She's not going to lose. And I want to notate one more thing. We normally don't see too many title changes at Vengeance Day, not the main titles at least. But we'll see how this is going to play out later on. But Giulia will definitely shine in this match. She would definitely hold it down. And maybe Bayley even takes the pinfall for this match. I can see it going that far too. Maybe Roxanne will even get pinned. But like I said, Roxanne, I said this before, for Giulia having her contenders for her title, Roxanne will get one more opportunity to win her title back, similar to Trick Williams in the NXT Championship, but will not win. And I think Roxanne may have a feud with Bayley since she's on NXT. And that will be it for Roxanne. She will more likely move on to the main roster. There's nothing else more for her to do unless she goes out for the Women's North American Championship. She could do that. That's probably pretty much it with her as far as that follows. That's it. So that's the prediction on that. And that's all I have for predictions for NXT Vengeance Day. Like I said, there'll be updated match card. We got 2 weeks away until we have this PLE. And I spoke on this before too. Simultaneously, this will be the same night as AEW Grand Slam Australia. It's the same night. And I got to put my money on NXT to watch first. In Australia, they'll have that at a different time zone anyway, since it's in another country. But just to notate that. But that's all I have. We had NXT Books 3 title match for Vengeance Day. You guys let me know what you thought. What's your early predictions on Vengeance Day on the 3 matches. You guys also let me know what you thought about NXT, the recent episode, and what you think of next week's matches as well. But other than that, that's all I have for that. You guys, thanks for you guys coming out. Soon to videos will pop out. You guys click the links below. Check out the content on the channel. You already know what it is at this point. It's OUT.
Something happened this weekend, and I have been struggling with it since I retired. But this weekend gave me closure.
Wow.
It really did. Like, it was fun. Obviously, it was fun. I mean, you can't, doing this for as long as I have and